Welcome to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. If you're here, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. When this video is done, make sure you share this with at least one other person. Also, as I go through my explanation on arc measurements and arc measure in angle form, make sure if you have any questions, make sure you put your questions in the comment section. I need to know what questions you have. I might even make a follow-up video just based on your question. All right. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Asada Shakur. Asada is welcome here. You see what the sweatshirt says. There's also a picture of Asada. It's always up here when I'm doing these videos. All right, if you're familiar with the channel, you already know that. Now, arc measure. Arc measure. What is an arc? What is an arc? An arc in this context, not A-R-K, but A-R-C, not like Noah's Ark, right? But an arc, A-R-C, is a portion of a circle, right? It's like if you imagine that this circle is a whole pizza, the arc would be the crust, would be the pizza crust. That's what the arc is. All right. And now the arc, right, of the whole circle is an arc, right? But it's broken into smaller pieces or smaller arcs. So from point A to point C is an arc. From point C to point Z is an arc. From point Z to point M is an arc. And from point M to point S is an arc. And from point S to point A is an arc, right? And then you have larger arcs that overlap. So I could go from point S to point C, right? That would be arc SC. I'll go from point S to like S through Z to M, SZM, right? And there's two different types of arcs. You got minor arcs and you got major arcs. Minor arcs are less than 180 degrees. 180 degrees is half of a circle or a semicircle. Semi, the prefix semi means half, right? Semi means half, right? Now, a minor arc, well, I already said that. A minor arc is less than 180. A major arc is 180 or greater. So my understanding is that a semicircle is considered a major arc. That's why when we describe a major arc, we use three letters. So if we describe a semicircle, we use three letters. So whenever you see arcs described, if you see three letters representing 3 points to represent them or to identify them, that means you're dealing with a major arc, more than 180 or bigger. If it's a minor arc, you're only using 2 points to describe it. 2 points, 2 letters. You know what I'm saying? That's a minor arc, less than 180. All right. Now, don't confuse this with arc length. Arc length is the length, not the size of the angle of the central angle that the arc is connected to, but the arc length would be like the actual, like the amount of centimeters or inches, like from this point to that point. That's not what we're doing. Arc measure is an angle measurement. So what I like to do, you see, we got all these arcs right here, right? We got to find all the measurements of each of these arcs. What I first want to do is just look at the circle based on the information given. I know that arc AS, which stands for Asada Shakur, or you can look at it as SA, which stands for Sundiata Acoli, who was also in the Black Liberation Army along with Asada Shakur. He's somebody you also should research if you are unfamiliar. Research Asada Shakur. Read her autobiography, Asada, an autobiography. I highly recommend it, right? They were both in the Black Liberation Army together, and in 1973, the New Jersey State Troopers attempted to assassinate them on the New Jersey Turnpike when they pulled them over, right? Along with Zaid Malik Shakur, who was in the car with them. Now, he was assassinated, right? There was 3 of them in the vehicle. Zaid Malik Shakur was assassinated. Sundiata Acoli was shot, and Asada Shakur was shot. But those two didn't die. They became political prisoners. Asada Shakur escaped from prison in the late 1970s and stayed underground until relocating to Cuba. Cuba, who had a president named Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro. He was the president at the time, right? And allowed her asylum, so to speak, in Cuba. All right. But as I said, Zaid Malik Shakur was assassinated that night in 1973 on the New Jersey Turnpike, somewhere near, either New Brunswick, somewhere in that area, right? The middle of the turnpike. Asada Shakur was in the car and Sundiata Acoli was in the car. Now, Sundiata Acoli, interesting thing about him was this brother went to Prairie View A&M University in Houston, Texas, and earned a mathematics degree. This brother was a mathematician. All right. Just something to know. All right. But these are all people that I think we should study and know more about. But anyway, as we go through this circle, we should identify using arithmetic, right, and some rules about circle geometry, the measures of all these arcs. So if I know, for example, if I know that this is a right angle, this box right here, that means that this denotes a right angle or an angle that measures 90 degrees, right? So that means this angle plus this angle add up to 90 degrees. These two angles add up to 90 degrees because of that symbol right there, that box. That box means 90 degrees. That's what it means. We got to understand the language of mathematics, the language of geometry. We got to know how to speak it, read it, and write it. But I also know that this arc is 53 degrees, which means that this angle itself is 53 degrees. But if the two angles add up to 90, then I can figure out what this angle is. Then this angle will give me this arc. I can do 90 minus 53. 90 minus 53, I can do subtraction. It's like a word problem. 90 take away 53. What does that equal? Well, I know 90 take away 50 is going to be 40, and then 40 take away 3 is going to be 37. So that means that this angle would be 37, which means that this arc has a measure of 37 degrees. All right. Now, what else can we do? Now, I also know that from point S to point Z, that's a diameter. That's a diameter. It's a chord that goes all the way across the circle and cuts through the center. So a chord, CHORD, that cuts through the circle and goes through the center is a diameter. The diameter basically bisects the circle. It cuts the circle in half. So, and it creates a semicircle. So that means from point S around to point Z, that's a semicircle. So this angle is 180, right? The central angle from here to here is 180 degrees because that's half of 360. Now, if we know that this is 37, we can figure out what this is because we know that from here to here is 180 and we know that this part is 37. So we can do subtraction again to figure out what this angle is. We do 180 take away 37. 180 take away 30, we can break 37 down into 30 plus 7. 180 take away 30 is 150. 150 take away 7 is 143. So that means we know that this angle is 143 and this arc is 143. So we got 143 degrees, right? Now, what we're doing is we're using critical thinking and problem solving. That's what we're doing, which is a life skill. So if you're sitting in class wondering why I got to learn this, when am I going to use this in life? You're going to use critical thinking, right? It's not even about the circle. The circle is just an opportunity to practice using critical thinking. Once you train your brain how to think critically, you can use critical thinking in any situation in life, no matter where you at. The grocery store, at your job, the gas station, on the street, hanging out on the corner with your friends in front of the poppy store, wherever you might be, right? You need critical thinking at all times, right? No matter what the situation is. The math class is meant to help you develop your critical thinking ability. The math class is meant to help you develop your problem solving ability. You might not know that. Maybe nobody told you that. That's not your fault, but I'm here to tell you. So now you know. So now when you go into that math class, look at it differently. Don't look at it as a waste of time because you need critical thinking ability. Basically, it's training your brain how you can be smart and be intelligent in situations in everyday life. That's what this does. All right. The same way we had to figure out how to get 143 is the same way we figure out stuff in everyday life. The same way. All right. Now, I know this is 79, so I can actually figure out this arc too. Because again, from this point, if I go all the way around, that's a semicircle. Right? That's a semicircle. So that means from here to here is a semicircle. From here around is a semicircle, right? So the semicircle is made of these three angles added together, right? So that's 79, that's 53, and that's the other part. So it's got three parts. All three parts add up to 180. So you can figure out the missing arc by putting the 79 with the 53 and then subtracting that sum from 180. Again, we using critical thinking skills to figure things out. That's part of life, figuring stuff out. We got to know how to figure stuff out. 70 plus 50 is 120. 9 plus 3 is 12. 120 plus 12 is 132. This angle and this angle, or this arc and this arc, are 132. But all three arcs add up to 180. So therefore, to find out the missing arc, you got to subtract the 132 from the total 180. What's 180 take away 132? That's 48 degrees. So that means that this arc is 48 degrees. So now we know all of the individual arcs. We know this AC is 48. We know CZ is 53, MZ is 37, SM is 143, SA is 79. So now we slide over here and answer these questions. The lowercase m stands for measurement of, and that's the arc symbol of the arc that goes from point Z to point M. Where is that at? Point Z to point M. We already know that's 37 degrees. We already did that work. So we write 37 degrees. All right, one down. What's the measure of arc SM from point S to point M? Here's point S, here's point M. We did that work already. That's 143 degrees. Check that off. The measure of arc AC from point A to point C. That's the arc symbol. Where's point A at? Point A is right there. Where's point C at? Right there. Arc AC is 48 degrees. Right? Now, measure of arc SC. Where's point S at? S is right here. Now, here's another question I got for you. How do I know that I'm supposed to go this way and not that way? Because I could get to C by going this way. This is how I know. Arc SC is a minor arc. That's why you got to know what minor arcs and major arcs are. Minor arcs got 2 letters, right? 2 points describe a minor arc. A minor arc is less than 180. That's how I know I'm going from point C this way, right? I'm going, what's that, clockwise? Yeah, I'm going clockwise. I'm not going counterclockwise. Because if I go this way, look what happens. I got to go all the way around past Z. Z would be 180. That's half of the circle. I got to go past that and get to that. If that would make it a major arc. If it was a major arc, it would have 3 letters. It don't have 3 letters. See? Critical thinking. How do I know I'm not supposed to go this way? Use critical thinking to figure that out. See, geometry helps you to practice critical thinking so you can be smarter. All right. Now, it makes smarter decisions in life. All right. So SC is going to be this arc plus that arc. This arc plus that arc. What's 70? What is 79 plus 48? Do some addition. What's 70 plus 40? That's 110. What's 9 plus 8? That's 17. What's 110 plus 17? 127 degrees. See? All of the minor arcs, got my check marks. All of the minor arcs have 2 letters. And they should all be less than 180, 37, 143, 48, 127. Now these 2, 3 letters, 3 letters. These are major arcs. These 2 are definitely going to have an angle measurement greater than 180. Let's see. CMS. Here's C, right? Now, do I go this way? No, because that would be CSM. CSM. Follow the order of the letters. Follow the order of the letters. Go from C to M to S. So that means I'm doing this arc plus this arc plus this arc. I'm adding, right? The same addition you had to learn how to, now you're in a geometry class, right? But this is the same addition that you had to learn in elementary school, right? Same thing. So 53 plus 37, 50 and 30 is 80. 3 and 7 is 10. That's going to be 90. Oh, I already knew that because that's a right angle symbol. I should have just used that. That's 90 plus 143. What's 90 plus 143? Well, 90 plus 140 is going to be 230. 90 plus 140 is going to be 230. And then add that 3, 233. So you see what happened? It's a major arc. Major arcs are described with 3 letters or 3 points. And isn't this more than 180? All major arcs are 180 or greater. 180 or greater. Right? If it's a semicircle, I believe it's considered a major arc. MSZ. Where's that at? M. I'm not going this way because I got to follow the order of the letters. M to S all the way around to Z. Right? So this arc plus this arc plus this arc plus this arc. And so don't you see how it was a good idea for us to just figure out all the arcs up front? Figure out all the individual arcs on the circle up front. And now when it comes time to answer the questions, we can just combine them. All right. Now we could either add all these up, 143 plus 79 plus 48 plus 53. We could do that. Or we could say, you know what? To find arc MSZ, it includes every arc on here except for this one. This one. Something else you need to know about circles. I don't know if I said it in this video. The total angle measure of a circle is 360 degrees. That's the total angle measure of any circle, 360 degrees. So if I know that the total angle measure of the whole circle is 360, and I want to include all the arcs except for this one, except for, what does that mean? If you saw that in a word problem, what would that indicate? Subtraction. You need to subtract 37. The whole thing is 360. You need to take away 37. What's 360 take away 37? 360 take away 30 is 330. Take away 7. 330 take away 7 is 323. So that's 323 degrees. And that's how you find arc measure. That's how you find arc measure. Take the information that you're given, understand what a semicircle is. All right, semicircle is 180. It's created by a diameter. Diameter goes across from one end to the other. It's a chord that cuts through the center of the circle. That's the center right there. So we got the F for Fidel Castro gave Assata Shakur asylum in Cuba many years ago while he was still president, right? That's the center. That's F. right? A radius goes from the center to the edge. Diameter goes from edge to edge. Diameter goes from edge to edge. Radius goes from center to edge. All right. Radius is always half the length of the diameter. Diameter is always double the length of the radius. All right. Now, if you got any questions, please put your questions in the comment section, right? So I can see what your questions are. Also, you might get your questions answered by just hitting rewind, run it back, use the technology to your advantage. All right. So hit the like button if you didn't already. Subscribe if you ain't subscribed yet. Share this video with somebody. All right. Somebody taking geometry or somebody that's about to take geometry. They're going to need to know how to do this. All right. Also, put your comments in the comment section. If you, like I said, if you got questions, put your questions in the comment section. All right. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.